Look down at the keyboard on your laptop or smartphone. The top row of letters spells out QWERTY. It's the universal standard across the English-speaking world. Because it is literally everywhere, you probably assume it's the fastest, most logical way to arrange the alphabet for human hands. But this animation shows a direct comparison of finger travel distance between QWERTY and an alternative called the Dvorak Simplified Keyboard. The math is clear. Dvorak requires significantly less finger movement, allowing people to type 20 to 40% faster. So why do billions of us continue to tap away on an inferior layout every time we send a text or write an email? The answer starts in the 1870s with an inventor named Christopher Latham Sholes. He designed the original QWERTY layout for early mechanical writing machines, like the one pictured here. Those early machines had a physical problem. If you hit two keys in rapid succession, the metal type bars underneath would swing up, clash together, and jam. Sholes solved this by taking the most commonly used letter pairs in English and separating them across the keyboard. We are typing on a layout specifically designed to slow down our fingers and prevent metal levers from jamming. Our modern digital behavior is trapped by a 19th century mechanical workaround, a phenomenon economists call technology lock-in, which is driven by a concept known as path dependence. Economists study QWERTY to understand the three specific mechanisms that cause markets to adopt permanent standards. The first factor is the role of historical accidents. The manufacturer, Remington, deliberately placed all the letters for the word typewriter on the top row. It was a sales gimmick so their representatives could quickly peck out the brand name to impress prospective buyers. That quirk might have faded, but it collided with a second force: technical interrelatedness. This is what happens when different parts of a system have to be completely compatible to function at all. In the 1880s, people started learning a new method called touch typing, using all 10 fingers without looking at the keys, and the very first instructional manuals for this method were written exclusively for the Remington QWERTY layout. This flowchart illustrates the feedback loop. Typists learned QWERTY, so businesses bought QWERTY machines. Thus, new typists had to learn QWERTY. Eventually, the market hit irreversibility. Due to sunk costs, retraining human muscle memory became far more expensive than changing the hardware. The market adopted an inefficient standard simply because, in the short term, it was cheaper to adopt the hardware to the habits of the workers than to retrain the workers to use better hardware. In 1985, an economic historian named Paul A. David published a paper realizing that this typewriter story represents a macro-level blueprint for how global markets actually evolve. At the time, traditional neoclassical economics treated the free market like a physics equation. The prevailing belief was that competition naturally filters out bad ideas, always settling on the most efficient possible outcome. David argued the opposite. He described market evolution as a branching process, which you can see in this decision tree model. An early, seemingly random choice takes the market down one specific path, permanently closing off access to better alternatives later on. This idea caused panic among traditional economists. If David was right, it meant the invisible hand of the market was flawed, and that our economy is constantly trapping us in suboptimal systems. David defended his theory by pointing out that early inventors aren't acting irrationally. They are just myopic. They are focused entirely upon the immediate constraints right in front of them. Christopher Sholes just wanted his metal levers to stop jamming. The engineers who designed early videocassettes, like the ones pictured here, were trying to solve the immediate technical limitations of magnetic tape. None of them could foresee the massive global networks of training, hardware, and content distribution built on top of their blueprints. Once a complex system grows around that myopic early choice, the pure logistical nightmare of coordinating millions of people to simultaneously switch to a better alternative becomes insurmountable. We have to abandon the comforting illusion that the best technology or the most efficient system will naturally rise to the top. Economic history isn't a self-correcting machine. It is a sequence of distinct events, and once those events happen, they cannot unhappen. If free markets don't naturally self-correct towards efficiency, it raises a difficult question. How should governments handle the rollout of new emerging technologies? The traditional free market fear is that government intervention means bureaucrats will arrogantly try to guess the future and pick the winning technology themselves. But Paul A. David offered a completely different approach. He argued that policymakers shouldn't try to pick the winner. they should actively delay the market from committing to a single standard too quickly. Look at this timeline of technology adoption. Instead of rushing towards standardization, the goal is to push the lock-in point further into the future. By preserving open options for as long as possible, society gains time to gather critical information about the long-term consequences of a technology before we are permanently stuck with it. The invisible hand of the market has a memory. And if we want to understand the logic of the modern world, we first have to investigate the historical accidents that built it.